Hey you guys, so let's talk about the new live action Little Mermaid. I'm essentially going to talk about my general thoughts on the film, and then a little later I will talk about some spoilers comparing it to the live action, or comparing it to the animated film. Which one, you know, which one is better, all that good stuff. But I'll let you know when I get into spoilers because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. The movie did just come out. I don't I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Okay. So generally, just talking about the film, what my personal thoughts on it are, I thought it was a really good film. Like, here's the thing, okay? Is it, with a lot of the plot points, a lot of the same story, is it the same? Yes. So, are you going to go in with maybe knowing a lot of the same lines, knowing a lot of, oh, what's going to happen? Yes. Like, there are a lot of things that are very similar to the original animated version, but there are things that are very different. They tried to do things that I think gave it a little bit something new. They gave Eric a little bit more backstory. If you know me, I love a good backstory. Um, they gave him a song, which I thought was nice. I have not seen the Broadway version. I know people have talked or compared his song to maybe what it is in the Broadway, the theater show. So that's something to keep in mind. Hallie is Ariel. I don't know who else they could have potentially cast. The thing is I like to watch, you know, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they always have like little snippets of interviews from the director, the cast. The director and those within the production said themselves that they're like, look, Hallie was the first one that came in and auditioned. She like blew it out of the park. And they were like, look, we can't choose the first girl that just comes in here. We have to audition everyone else. They auditioned hundreds of girls, okay? All they could think about was her audition. All they could think about was her performance because she came in, performed part of your world, and she just blew it out of the park. They wanted her. And honestly, I see why. When I heard the D23 teaser, I was like, yes. And everyone else thought, a good majority of people thought the same thing. I understand where some of the criticisms lie, I get it, but her performance is extraordinary. Loved it. Would have loved to have seen more of the sisters, in regards to, like, I know in the animated version they don't have a whole ton of interaction with Ariel. There's like a few scenes where they're together, but I would have loved more of them. I feel like you get a tad, but not enough. Like, I just wanted a little more, um, because I don't know. I just like this idea of like having different nationalities of mermaids and having this idea, they all cover different parts of the sea and the ocean. I just would have liked to have seen more. That's me. That's my thoughts on it. That's not downgrading the film in any way, shape, or form. Just would have liked a little bit more. I do. Melissa did a great job as Ursula. I do feel Ursula was a little tame. Just a tad. Not a whole ton. Like, if you remember the animated version at all, there are just some things where I feel like could have maybe gone a little bit more, but it's if you're afraid of like, oh my god, is she misunderstood? No, she is a villain in this. So it's like I'm not totally upset by this performance, but if you're comparing to, ooh, which Ursula do I like more? You Some may still prefer the animated version because just with some of the remarks, maybe the comedy. Melissa does deliver on the comedy, do not get me wrong, but maybe like commentary, everything else. Pat Carroll's Ursula maybe just delivers just a little bit more. And, you know, in regards to what the CGI looks like, what the animals look like, you know, and regarding Flounder, Sebastian, Scuttle, they did not bother me that much, because you know, are they a, like kind of a central focus for sure, but not as much as I would say is as if you're comparing it to The Lion King, where it is all animals. So for me, wasn't a big, like, you know, oh my god, I hate this. I didn't mind it. If there was one that maybe I hated the most, it is Flounder, just because of maybe the emoting. I feel Sebastian's, like with the eye movement, how things were done expression wise, that was just done a little bit more. Same with Scuttle. I think her design in that particular case was just done very well. Flounder was probably the one not so much. So out of all the live actions that have been done thus far, this is the one that's at least a little bit better than some of the other ones. You have a cast, at least with your lead, that is doing a fantastic job, really emulates the character, and that's what I really enjoyed. So that's what I really look at, and that's what I wanted from this. And you have some scenes that are a little bit new. Like I said, they try to make it their own. I feel like there's a little bit more chemistry shown between Eric and Ariel, and those are the things that I like and that I enjoyed. Now we're gonna get into the spoilers, comparing it to some of these scenes with animated and live action. So, in the beginning, you see Atlantica. There is no beautiful kingdom in the live action. You don't see this shiny kingdom how you do in the animated film. It is how you would picture the underwater looking. You know, they live underwater. I don't even know how best to accurately describe it, whether they live like within like the rock coral structures, but that, not a shiny kingdom, that is what I can say. Then if you go into, I have notes because I wanted to make sure that I had everything that I wanted to talk about here. Ariel sings in Under the Sea, so that's something a little bit different. As you all know, I think that there are new songs. Some of the lyrics in the songs have changed in the songs that we know, like Kiss the Girl. There's a couple line changes in there. To me, they're very, like, look, to me, they are somewhat noticeable, but again, I think you could listen to the original if it's something that I would say bothers you oh so much. Poor Unfortunate Souls is very much the same, but there are some things definitely omitted or, you know, changed, taken out, to, you know, fit with what's happening. The spell that is used, let me rephrase, the two spells that are used within this film are very different. So what I mean by that is you have the first spell to make Ariel now get her legs, walk on land. She doesn't sign a contract. Instead, it's now in blood. So she takes a scale that's like thrown in the pot, and that's like signing. It's written in blood, I guess. But then when she goes up on land, she essentially kind of forgets everything that happens, but it's explained because Ursula's like, yeah, I threw in a little something something, so then, you know, she forgot. The second spell, as I like to say it, when Ursula turns into Vanessa, in the animated version, Vanessa appears, uses Ariel's voice, Eric's enchanted, entranced, however, whatever word you wish to use, and how I think of it is he is under a spell, duh. And the next day, they get married, Here in the live action one, the voice kind of like lures him in, and he's like, oh, I'm like reenacting the scene in my eyes. Oh, this is the girl that saved me. Okay. Cut to next day, he's like talking, with, his people, and he's like, yeah, yada yada yada, they have this party. Well, his mother, I'll explain that in a minute, his mother gives him a ring, essentially, to propose to somebody. So he's not engaged yet to Vanessa, okay? He then talks with Grimsby, and Grimsby is like, they're talking, and Eric's like, where's Ariel? Grimsby's like, well, can you blame her? Like, she's not here. And Eric's like, yeah, I don't know, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, okay, so he's aware. He knows what is happening, okay? He's not completely under a spell, it seems. Like, it seems he knows what's going on. He just hasn't decided what route he wants to take. We just haven't gotten there yet, okay? So I found that particularly interesting. I talked earlier about scenes that were added in. With that, you get a little bit more backstory in Eric's background. He is adopted by, the queen, essentially, the rulers of this kingdom. With that, another scene that you get is this chemistry that I think is super duper essential when Ariel first kind of gets her legs. She's like snooping around, trying to figure things out, and it's like Eric's little room. Like, it's his, like, kind of, think of Ariel's little, like, cove that she has. It's like his little cove. It's what he has. And it's adorable. I loved it. I was so happy that they added this in. I was like, yes, this was necessary. We needed this. Another little thing I loved, Jodie Benson is in this, okay? It's not like a quick thing, like you shouldn't miss it, but if you haven't seen it yet, and if you are watching this part, it's when they're in the marketplace and she offers her a fork, the dingle hopper, if you will. And that was fun. That's just fun to see. I love little cameos. Because I think, I don't know, this whole process, I think, has just been super supportive, and it's always fun to see the OG princess now kind of pass on to the next kind of, princess. So that was a fun little addition. Scuttle is definitely in this more. Do I hate it? No. Like, I thought Aquafina did a fine job. I know sometimes she gets some little criticisms, but I thought she did fine. I'll tell you what, though, some of, like, the one song I'm not the biggest fan of is Scuttlebutt. I get it. It kind of adds something, but for me, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite of the new additions, okay? I do enjoy for the first time, which Hallie sings. So Ariel comes up, she's like introduced on the land, and it's like, oh, you know, for like discovering all these things. And so that's something that's new and exciting to, you know, she's seeing everything, trying to learn. And I think that's a good song. Like, it's something that she's trying to, you know, learn and just get adjusted to. So I think it was a good addition. So I mean, the songs that were added, I think, were really good. Um, that the Scuttlebutt one is probably the one that's not my favorite, like I said, but you know, whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, aside from that, I mean, it is, I think, always going to be hard to measure up sometimes to an original. I mean, The Little Mermaid was one where during the Renaissance era, it brought life back to Disney Pictures. It wasn't doing super well in animation and just in general with a lot of its films. This film really brought life back, and then they continued to just put out picture after picture, hit after hit. And I think too with animation, particularly if you want to compare it to Ariel when she loses her voice, I think it's really easy to, you know, show these things and how they would be shown with such expression. It's so much easier than maybe an actor trying to do it and not speak. Sometimes I think maybe with not the right, depending on the type of direction you have, it can be done, but I think you really have to have the right team, and it has to be done in the, you know, correct way. I do think Hallie did, you know, a fantastic job. I think at times it did feel, you know, is there enough here? Can we have enough for like originality purposes? Again, like, I think the changes that were made were good. I would have liked a little bit more change, but I do think this measures up. It's really, it is good. I enjoyed it. I honestly would go see it again. This is one I would go see again. So, you know, which is better? Honestly, like, that's up to you. Like, if you are somebody who really enjoys the animated portion of it, and you like the history, you like certain things in regards to that, the animated one is maybe more for you, like the nostalgia purpose. It's just, it's so hard because I love Hallie's performance, and I love the chemistry between Eric and Ariel, and, you know, Sebastian. I did not know, because I do enjoy Sebastian in the animated one, I just was not sure how it would turn out here. Loved it. And so, you know, it's really hard. Like, I don't know. There are things I loved about the live action, and then there are things I love about the animated one, and I wish I could, like, intertwine them. So I really cannot choose. Really probably just depends on the mood I'm in, honestly. Like, what do I want to watch it for today? Like, honestly, if I probably want to watch it for Ursula, I'm gonna watch the animated one. Like, that's probably gonna be the defining factor of it. Like, what am I watching it for? That's what it is. So, do with that what you will. If you saw the film, feel free to leave your thoughts down below, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.